Hello and welcome to the first episode of my playthrough of Lost Kingdoms 2, a wonderful game from my childhood that I absolutely love, but not many people have heard of. So, Lost Kingdoms 2 is quite a rare title. It's from Software, the same people who have made Dark Souls and other games in the series, and it's got that similar aesthetic to it. The rough plot of the game is that you are following the adventures of someone called Tara Strongarm, who is a teenage girl who has been blessed with a special magic power. This cutscene shows her origin in the game, and is going to be much of the drama that drives the actual gameplay in terms of the levels that you need to go to. This special object here is the Rune Stone, and it's this that gives Tara her magical powers. As is tradition for cutscenes, that shows many of the late game cards that we can get, but for where we are in the game we are going to start with a basic deck. This game picks up from the story told in Lost Kingdoms 1, which is not a game I'm very familiar with. It was much harder to find Lost Kingdoms 1, and in general it's not as positively received, partially because all of the combat in it is instanced, and partially because every single time you complete a level it's actually deleted. It's consumed by something called the Black Fog, which meant that if you missed something the first time round you couldn't go back and get it, which was quite frustrating for completionists. And I would say that in terms of this game I am a completionist because I want to collect all of the cards. In terms of the combat, this is pretty much what you would expect for to appeal to a massive card game nerd. It is an RPG where you collect the cards, build your own deck, and you summon them to fight for you in 3D. Exactly like things like Yu-Gi-Oh, where you had the dual disc system that gave you 3D battles between the cards. So, as you can see on the right hand side I have got my hand of cards, which is really helpful because it shows you all three types of cards I have available to me at the moment. I have cards such as the Man Trap, which summons this giant plant, which is an independent card. It can move about and attack on its own. I also have the Hobgoblin, a particularly bad card. In fact, both of them are, because the AI in this game is particularly useless. I have quite a few situations where I have to manually push monsters to whatever I want them to attack because their AI just doesn't pick up on it. In general, the Man Trap tends to be quite smart, but is incredibly slow. The Hobgoblin is relatively quick, but really thick, so I tend not to use them as much. I tend to prefer using weapon cards, which are the ones with a little sword next to them. The third type of card in my hand is the one with a little arrow, which is a supporter. Their job is essentially to just help you in some way, such as the fairy heals you. Here I'm going to aim to get the first good cards of the playthrough. I'm getting the Dark Raven, which is a very long range weapon card, and I'm getting the Scythe Beast, which holds the honour of being the most durable weapon in the game. It's going to be incredibly useful on a later stage. Now, this is the Nobleman's Mansion. This is our first job, and it serves as a tutorial level. We're trying to rob this place, but we haven't managed to get very far inside for various reasons. This is Sol. He is the bishiest character in the game, and he's kind of a hero. He's got a big sword. He's very anime. Tara might be quite fond of him. So, behind this door is our first fight, so I'm going to try and get rid of some of the more useless cards from my hand and go for the most powerful ones. Hopefully I can use the Dragon Knight if these two line up. If not, I'm going to struggle. Here is the Dark Raven, one of the cards I just picked up. It leaps at you. What's on the floor are things called magic stones. These are basically mana, and if you manage to get enough over your mana cap, they are turned into gold, which will allow you to spend them in card shops. Very much like games like Yu-Gi-Oh! When a card goes entirely grey, it is discarded and you can't use it again unless you have some way of doing it. Now, we haven't been able to get far into the mansion because of these mysterious seals. We will come back later when we have the key. It might be plot relevant. And here we have the first boss, which is the Hellhound. This thing jumps at you and is actually pretty challenging to beat when you're playing on PC using a keyboard as your controller. It's a lot easier if you can freely rotate, otherwise it leaps at you and knocks you down. Now I'm going to aim to one-shot it by using the Dragon Knight. Nice. Collect these for the gold, and then the first level is over, triggering the amazingly voice-acted cutscene when you meet Victor, your boss.
Finally, there you are. Another successful operation for the Band of the Scorpion, thanks to you.
I've never been able to get over his thanks to you.
Hey, what did I say? Confound that girl. She won't even accept thanks. But no problem, as long as she keeps doing her job.
Right, so I get a 2-star rating there. I actually don't think you can ever get a 3-star rating on this, but whenever you complete a level, you get given a choice of cards to collect. So I'm going to pick some and hope I get something that's good. I get 2 copies of Beaker, which is the little beak hoppy monster that I got to kill there. Now, before I enter the second level, Bhashee High Road, I'm going to edit my deck. I do aim to show off every card that I collect, but I don't want a deck that's too full of hobgoblins and man-traps, given that they are pretty frustrating to use. So I'm going to just keep copies of the good cards and then remove the bad cards once I show off the AI. Now, one of the important things that you can see is that the composition of the level is told to me beforehand, so I know that this is mostly a grass type level, so things like the Dark Raven card should be particularly strong. There are 4 elements available to me at the moment, earth, water, grass and fire, but there are 2 more rarer elements that I will aim to pick up later in the game. I should be getting my first one in a couple of levels. I have a personal vendetta against this cart. Hang on. That's better. Destroy the cart, get some dosh, and then have a chat to Victor. So here I get the Porcupig card. Many of the monsters that you can summon in this game are quite fun, they're quite stupid. This is a pig that hops around like a bunny and can shoot spines from its forehead, and we'll see a version of it on this level actually. Hopefully I should be able to take it. If not, I need to reconsider my choices in playing this game. Ah, here it is. Behold the terror. The final boss of the game, the unkillable Porcupig. Attack me. Okay, my turn. So the Scythe Beast being particularly good has 5 uses, and when you Z-charge it, which doubles its power but makes it cost twice as much, it's really useful in the early game. Absolutely brilliant card. Here I'm going to use the best use of Man Trap, which is throwing it over onto this bank to win a bet with this NPC. So the Elephant card is actually the first kind that is a summon. Summons turn you into the monster for a choice of one of 2 different attacks, and they tend to be some of the flashier cards in the game. They're also pretty good. The Elephant itself is one of the better ones, with either one of the most powerful Earth-type attacks that you can get for a few levels, or the ability to recycle used-up cards. Now time to test the AI. I've said that the Hobgoblin's pretty stupid. He tends to be. I'm going to try and get him as close to the Man Trap as possible, so that he has a chance. Just incredible levels of combat skill from this Hobgoblin. Wow. As you can see, one of the attacks that the Hobgoblin does is to try and fart on people. It's one of the reasons I tend not to like him too much as a card. I don't know why farting on a plant kills it. I don't think plants have taste buds or a sense of smell, but apparently it's very harmful to them. Now, I want to get the incredible treasure here, but the bridge is destroyed. Oh no. And this is going to be one of the cases in RPGs of the unjumpable 1 meter gap, which has victimised me in too many games. Oi, I wasn't ready, Man Trap. You're going to have to just wait. So, the Man Trap is a different kind of monster that tends to be pretty tanky. It's slow and steady, but it can take quite a few hits at this level. Particularly if you miss. I'm going to try and find... Well, the Fuka will be particularly bad against it, so let's try the Lizard Man again. There we go, kill it. Now, what you may have noticed there is, because I ran out of mana, these endlessly respawn, because I've run out of mana, I had to cast using my health, which can actually get you injured quite badly. I'm going to try using the Man Trap to kill the Porcupig. The Man Trap's pretty tanky, but the Porcupig's pretty fast, so this is the way that you would predict it to go, but class disadvantage is particularly powerful in this game. Now, the Dark Raven is particularly good for its incredibly long range. It outranges most enemies that you'll find in the early game, so it's pretty safe to use. A really good roll on the original tutorial level is to get 2 copies of the Dark Raven. I can buy it from the shop, but I'd rather save some of my gold. So I'm just using my Z targeting here, similar to Zelda, to lock on. It really helps you actually line up your shots, particularly if you're struggling a little bit with the camera controls. Where's that porcupig? It's bouncing around somewhere. There we go. Now, I haven't been hit by the porcupig yet this level, but if I do get hit by it, it knocks me down, which, going from other Dark Souls, well, From Software games like Dark Souls, can and will just get you killed. It's why cards like that tend to be so useful against enemy runestone masters, because if you stun lock them by knocking them down, you can just kill them without them playing anything. This game is not balanced slightly, and that's one of the reasons I love it. Thank you, handsome Bhashee boy Sol. I will be very careful about the 2 Stormhagens that, oh no, have spawned. These guys actually hit pretty hard. You don't really want to get hit by them. That one's throwing his axe at me. I don't have time to hit it necessarily. Now, as you use an attack, you're actually immune. It's one of the reasons why weapon cards are so useful. So here, I get to avoid his attack and counter-attack. The Dragon Knight is easily the most damaging early game weapon, so it tends to be worth using. I'm gonna go get this Stormhagen and try and show off some of his attacks now. That's another throw, but hopefully he'll use his Whirlwind Strike at me, which tends to do quite a lot of damage if he actually uses it. He's not going to play though. So, just kill him with the Lizard Man and end the level. 3-star rating, nice. Now, one of the early high rolls here is trying to get the Stormhagen from the 3-3 card. So if I can get that, it makes the early game a lot easier, and I managed to. I get a Porcupig, a Mantrap, and the Stormhagen, which is another summon. Really, really good card. So that's going to end episode 1. On our next episode, I'm going to explore the town of Kadishu and go to the Gromtal Desert, which is up here, and meet one of the friendly NPCs in this game. But until then, I've been Scissors Lizards, and I hope you've enjoyed this first playthrough of Lost Kingdoms 2.